Let's talk a little bit about the different factors that contribute to relationship anxiety. I personally believe that relationship anxiety is a byproduct of a lot of the culture that we were raised in today. Our grandparents and ancestors, they didn't have as many options. They didn't have Tinder back then. So you had to choose between Joe Schmo and Rick the Busher. You really didn't have that many choices. Maybe your family would pick out your partner for you. And because of that, you didn't really worry constantly that there was someone better out there because you were kind of limited to the little village that you lived in. And whether you had feelings for them didn't really matter. Marriage was not this thing that people did for love. It was more of a business transaction, and then people had mistresses and things like this for love. Today, we're expected to find someone that we feel love for, but we're also the partner is also supposed to have all these other qualities. As Esther Perel would say, they're supposed to be your best friend, your lover, your confidant, your partner in crime, and this intellectual person, and funny, and sweet, and sexy. Like, today's standards of what relationships are supposed to look and feel like are exhausting. And it makes sense why, based on the perfectionism that we see on social media and Hollywood and Disney, that we would be really preoccupied with trying to find the right person given how many choices we have. We have a culture of optimization and trying to biohack our lives, our health, our careers. We want to make as much money as possible with the least amount of work. And we want to take that same approach and apply it to our relationships. We're trying to find the most compatible person so that we don't have to do as much work. We don't have to do as much tolerating. Also, we have some of the highest divorce rates we've ever had in history. We have parents that maybe traumatized us in some way, or we had marriages that we were traumatized by watching, or marriages that we were really kind of grossed out by. And so we really feel this pressure to get it right. We want to do relationships right. So it makes sense that as a highly intelligent being, you would want to pick your equal. You'd want to pick someone who is a really great magical fit for you. Well, guess what? That person doesn't exist. And if you can start to see that your relationship has more to do, like the right partner does not have as so much to do with like how wonderful you're going to feel all the time, but rather the person that's going to teach you how to heal within a relationship, teach you how to see your shadows, teach you how to find your limitations, because they're really going to act as a mirror. And guess what? If you had a mirror following you around all day long, exposing your own crap to you, you might be triggered very often, which is exactly what relationships today ask us to do. They ask us to become more whole and more curious about who we are. And we can actually use relationships as a vehicle for that. But traditionally, we're looking at a culture that wants you to find the right person so that you don't have to do that much work in a relationship. They're just going to love you. I think another thing that really contributes to this is the media messages that we see on love. I don't know about you, I was raised on Disney and The Notebook and Titanic, and I was like, oh, that's love. That's what love's supposed to feel like. So when you fall in love with someone, you feel infatuated, you think, great, I did it right. But then as soon as that high dissipates, and you fall into the real work of relationships, that becomes really frightening because that doesn't match up with the Hollywood message you were sold. Imagine Jack and Rose from Titanic. They didn't sink. Imagine they built a life. I want to see a movie about their marriage 30 years in, but no one would want to watch that. That would be the most boring movie ever. So those movies never get written. We never see them. And so we think that our relationships, when they become a little bit more ebby and flowy every day, we think that we're doing something very, very wrong, when in reality, they're all looking like that. Another thing that can contribute to relationship anxiety is relational trauma. And trauma is a buzzword today. People talk a lot about trauma, yeah? Things that can contribute to relationship anxiety can be old feelings of abandonment surfacing, whether that was someone literally got up and left your life, or they were totally with you, but they emotionally abandoned you. Maybe they invalidated your emotions, like you weren't allowed to feel sad, or you weren't allowed to feel angry, or you weren't allowed to feel disgusted or full of rage. And as a result, you might have internalized that, become this like good person that never feels anger, never feels sadness. And guess what? When you enter a healthy relationship, those emotions are going to come up. And it's kind of, I believe, the universe's way of saying, hey, bring those parts back. And healthy relationships are the most perfect place to learn where your blind spots are if you're willing to be curious. One thing I do with a lot of my clients is relearning how to be emotionally literate. People who experience relationship anxiety, they have a lot of sensations in the body, like tightness in their chest or in their throat, or they constantly feel like they got to crawl out of their skin. Those are generally pointers to trapped emotions. And when we're not able to see and feel and witness and express these emotions fully, it's almost like it's like a dead animal that's stuck in your closet, and you're gonna hear it growling in there, but like we're gonna try and put like soundproof it so that this animal doesn't come out, because we are worried that if this animal comes out, we're gonna break up with our partner, we're gonna say something mean, or we're gonna do something bad. And really what we're afraid of is losing love. So on the surface, we can get like all these thoughts about, do I love my partner enough? Do I find my partner attractive enough? Is she the one? When a lot of times these thoughts are pointing to a space inside of us, an emotion perhaps. It might be new, it might be really, really old. You might have a memory around it, or you might not. It actually doesn't really matter, but that emotion needs to move through you, because until you do, it's almost like there's this film on the way that you view life. It's kind of like, someone sprayed mud on your windshield while you're driving, and you're like, am I a terrible driver? I don't know where I'm going. I can't make a decision. I don't know how to drive. No, you might have some trauma being the mud sprayed on your windshield. That's making it hard for you to see. That's why a lot of people who have relationship anxiety feel like they can't trust themselves and think that there's something inherently wrong with them. When in reality, trapped emotions act like mud on your windshield. Until you're able to clear a lot of space within you, old stuff, I'm talking like abandonment, and when people left you, things that people said about you that you internalize and made mean something wrong about yourself, that stuff is going to influence how you see yourself and how you see your relationship. And if you take these thoughts at face value, it's going to really freak you out. But if you can start seeing these thoughts as pointers to something that's unresolved in your inner world, trapped emotions, things that still need to be addressed and reconciled within you, until you do that, you're not going to really be able to enjoy the relationship fully. These intrusive thoughts are going to come up as a way to beckon you to go deeper and stop seeing these thoughts as inherently true. So I'm a huge fan of disidentifying with the thoughts, using inner work, meditative practices to become curious about what's happening inside and how to make shifts from within.